consuming whatever food you want, expecting that to be clean is a dangerous conclusion to have.
Today I'm joined by Darin Olien. It's going to be a conversation about health and healing, but not from your superficial level, from the deep-seated level of what do we really do to increase the energy, frequency, and vibration, to heal the body temple, to live a happy, healthy life, to live in alignment with nature, to rid ourselves of the poisonous chemicals that's everywhere in our environment, to know where they are, what they are, and how to clear them, and how to step into our truest purpose.
Certainly in the United States, we've got half of our water is contaminated with PFAS. We've got fluoride, we've got pesticides, all kinds of things that the municipalities haven't caught up with. We're not getting clean water to our tap.
He's written multiple books, and this is the one that I want to talk about today. It's called SuperLife, the 5 fixes that will keep you healthy, fit, and eternally awesome.
I really believe that, yes, this world can be crazy. It can be hard. It can have challenges. And we have this opportunity to create an extraordinary life, a super life.
He's the creator of the award-winning documentary called Down to Earth with Zac Efron. He's got over 20 years of experience now traveling the planet and looking for underutilized exotic superfoods.
I don't recommend people running out and doing plant medicine from the simple aspect of
Greetings and welcome to the Dr. Espen podcast. I'm your host, Espen. Today I'm joined by Darin Olien. This is going to be a conversation that we need to have. It's going to be a conversation about health and healing, but not from your superficial level, from the deep-seated level of what do we really do to increase our energy, frequency, and vibration, to heal the body temple, to live a happy, healthy life, to live in alignment with nature, to rid ourselves of the poisonous chemicals that's everywhere in our environment, to know where they are, what they are, and how to clear them, and how to step into our truest purpose. Darin has got an incredible journey. He's the creator of the award-winning documentary called Down to Earth with Zac Efron. He's got over 20 years of experience now traveling the planet and looking for underutilized exotic superfoods. I'm so excited. He's actually discovered a superfood that the world didn't even know about. So we'll have a conversation about that nut as well. But so much can come into this conversation. I hope we get to cover, well, as much as possible in the next 60 minutes or so. He also created Shakeology. Check this out. 4 billion in sales since 2008. How amazing, not just to create that amount of revenue, but to do so with serving the world with superfoods, with healing plants and medicine. That just lights my being up. He's written multiple books, and this is the one that I want to talk about today. It's called SuperLife, the 5 fixes that will keep you healthy, fit, and eternally awesome. We're going to go through the formula. We'll talk about fatal conveniences. What conveniences do you have in your life that may be fatal? And of course, also the podcast called SuperLife with Darin Olien. Brother, welcome to the show.
Wow. We have so much to discover here together. I'm stoked to be here, man. It's always weird when you hear your own bio and at the same time, it's like, it's kind of cool because sometimes I don't acknowledge all the things that I've been doing. And it's also good to reflect on that too.
Good on you, bro. And honestly, I don't put every guest on the pedestal, and I don't mean to do that with you, but I do mean to emphasize the work that you've done and the incredible healing nature that this has brought to people around the world. And we just had a brief conversation before we pressed record, and we're both, truth seekers, and what you've shared throughout your work and the amount of people that you've helped is amazing. I want to start with the first question. Who are you? And what is really your mission?
Great question. It lives in the name of my first book and the name of my community and the name of my website, SuperLife. And what drives me is I really believe that, yes, this world can be crazy. It can be hard. It can have challenges. And at the same time that all of that does exist, we have this opportunity to create an extraordinary life, a super life. And in my DNA, I couldn't even stop it if I wanted to. I want people to break out of just the Maslow basic needs and to exemplify, create, live on purpose, to have a life that they look back and go, wow, that's extraordinary. So I want people to realize that there's so much more on the table for them to choose, to be, to create, to generate, and to contribute to. So personally, I am committed to living the highest level I can, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And with that, it takes a level of looking at your life, owning your life, not being a victim. And with that, it demands my attention, because that is my intention, to live the greatest life ever. And because of that, you got to look underneath everything to free yourself, to free myself from any limitations. And so that's in the cell of everything that I do, and the bio that you read off are things that I have done along the way, and I'm not even close to being done. And I am not motivated by money. I'm not motivated by accumulating things. I'm mostly motivated by sparking people to want more out of their life.
A super life. I think it's so pertinent, so aligned with who and what we are. We've been operating within this very limited bandwidth of the human experience. We're called the five senses. We're not seeing, we're not knowing, we're not feeling, we're not connecting to the capacity that we have. So super life, I think, is just a matter of coming home. What's your belief about humans' true potential?
The first quick answer is unlimited. The practical side of me that we have a current modern setup that we are all born into, and we have to navigate. Like this wouldn't have been my if I had a choice, I would have probably been in a small village in the woods, kind of close to nature, foraging, having beautiful relationships, drinking clean water, picking fresh fruit. That would be my ideal. But since we are born into this world that has matured in a modern perspective, we need to be aware of certain things. So I believe that certainly the most important superpower we have is our internal compass, our connection between who we are, our soul, the ultimate God, the creator, that listening, that consciousness, that intention, that merging, that truly the kingdom is within. That is personally something I try to cultivate all the time, because it's way too noisy out here. So within that space, I believe all possibilities exist. And our modern world is nuts, and we can talk about a lot of what is nuts. But that is just the story that is the told vision. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the truth, right? So speaking of that truth, leading into that truth, and trying to live as powerfully as I can, but also try to make life a little better as a result of me being in it.
And that you are doing. It's interesting you should say that, because we're told the story, but it may not necessarily be the truth. You talk about fatal conveniences. And I think this is a very pertinent topic right now, because there is poison blasted through the media. People in fear are easy to control. But then we also have, call it a war on, or at least the manipulation of food-like products. The way people have been eating, the way we've been conditioned from a young age to celebrate sugar and McDonald's and these things. And now, even with some of the things that you talked about on one of your recent podcast episodes, which I absolutely loved, and I'll just call the name out so listeners and viewers can check this out. This one's called The Hidden Poisons in Anti-Aging Products. Oh my gosh. We talk about forever chemicals. I mean, this in itself is a whole podcast episode. But just give us your top 3 most dangerous habits when it comes to fatal conveniences, the things that people are doing every day that may be killing them, that they might not even be aware of. Where would you start?
Oof. Well, the first thing that I want people to be aware of is the ingestion of things. Because you open your mouth, it's a very vulnerable. It's basically saying, out here, I'm bringing inside. So I always go water first, because water, certainly in the United States, we've got half of our water is contaminated with PFAS. We've got, fluoride. We've got pesticides, herbicides, all kinds of things that the municipalities haven't caught up with. Right. So we're not getting clean water to our tap. So reverse osmosis, clear it out, clean it out, get a glass bottle to fill that up. Right. Cheers. And then now you've just eliminated a lot of neurotoxicity. You've eliminated a lot of bioaccumulation of dangerous chemicals. That's the first thing. Then food, of course. So the idea that you're just consuming whatever food you want, expecting that to be clean, is a dangerous conclusion to have. So you want to do your best to buy local food, grow as much as you can. Hell, sprouts on your countertop. You can sprout broccoli sprouts, one of the greatest cancer-fighting antioxidant foods in the world. You can sprout in 7 days, and you can create a superfood within 7 days and have a full salad. So these are the things that you want to start to do. And then it kind of goes out from there. You talked about the anti-aging stuff, and that really goes into this category of what you're slathering on your body, what you're washing your hair with. It's got fragrances that are dangerous, endocrine disruptors. You've got phthalates and parabens. So there's different classifications. Sometimes your body burden can deal with some of those, but it's the consistency that is the danger. The other thing that maybe a third category that I mention, that I want to mention more and more, and that is the electromagnetic fields that are around us, right? That one's a real big issue that we're not talking about enough, because these are invisible. These are our cell phones. These are our Wi-Fi routers. These are the 4G, 5G, all of this stuff. This is this is non-assimilative to the human body. So therefore, the studies all show it's a stress response in the body, creating more free radicals, right? So just that alone is creating a higher stress response. So some of the things that people can do, proximity to electronics is important. So don't put your cell phone up to your head. Be farther away from your computer. Bring it off of your lap. Turn off your Wi-Fi router at night. You plug back in, right? I have air tubes, so no EMFs can travel to my brain at all. And kids, even more important, because the studies show the EMF, the millimeter waves, the Wi-Fi routers are going through the skull, and are less capable of the small children to combat that level of non-ionizing radiation. Non-ionizing doesn't mean safe, because we do show through the studies that proximity, and the longer you're being exposed to it, the more dangerous it gets. So the more we can do to shut off some of these things and have distance from them, the better.
I love this. And I love that you bring this up, because there's so much research on this. And when it all came out, when COVID first hit, they started putting up a 5G tower in the children's playground, in the middle of the children's playground. And I was like, I'm out of here. So I got, 10 acres, and I'm on top of a mountain, and it's just nature. And I think, we can go through this over and over again, but would it not be fair to say return to nature? And we say remove, like for me, it's like, what do I eat? It's not just what do I eat, it's more, what do I not eat? I'm just finishing, and I'm so excited. Today is the 4th day, no food, and I'm breaking my fast with organic cacao. I've prayed over my cacao. I've got my adaptogens in there. I've got my superfoods. And this is how I start after 3 days. I'll gently ingest some fruit after this, and I'll ingest some proper food later in the evening. But I think so much of it is to remove interference. And you're talking about the 5G and the electromagnetic poisons. Return to nature. You speak so beautifully about this. Your work with Zac Efron in the documentary was amazing. It's so much about returning to mother. Can you tell us a little bit about that? You said if you had your way, you would just live on the land. What do people need to know right now? Let's say that they're living in a big city. What can they do right now to return to nature and find balance again?
Little things matter a lot, right? So if you are listening to this and you're in an apartment, it's okay, right? If you can get a habit of putting your feet on the ground, getting some early morning or late evening sunlight, I can't emphasize how powerful that is to set the body with its natural rhythms, right? Yeah. Every cell, every receptor, hell, the endocannabinoid system, all of it's connected to this system of reception through sunlight, through photons, through the Schumann resonance of the earth. So this can de-stress us. We're always we're overreaching for a supplement to combat some of this stuff, but Mother Nature it can't even come close to the amount of benefits and the deregulation of the stress responses on a body. So if people just start their day with some fresh water and feet on the ground, even for 10 seconds, and get some sunlight, those are powerful things. If you needed to walk your dog, then use that as a natural way to just get outside. You know, we're living 97% of our lives indoor, and it's completely inverted in how we're grown up in terms of our evolution of humanity. So, you know, I, like you, I'm on 50 acres, and it was an intention. Like, this is how I need to live for me. So therefore, I intended and I continue to work towards goals to live in the world, but not be such a victim to it.
Well said. Okay. You have studied indigenous cultures. You've had experience with plant medicine, and you're deep into the Blue Zone side of nutrition. I want to ask you about plant medicine. You know, I started my journey in 2016 sitting with sacred sacraments in Peru, and the shamanic traditions that I've learned, not just sitting with the sacrament of ayahuasca or wachuma or whatever, but the way they live, the song lines, what they've shared. I want you to tell us a little bit about your experience with plant medicine. And it doesn't have to be psychedelic plant medicine, but just using plants as medicine in general, please.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll touch on the psychedelic side. I did ayahuasca 24 years ago. And then I never did it again. And there's a reason for that. It was very clear to me when it called to me, and I had never done a drug in my life to that point. And it downloaded, obviously, a bunch of information. I think I've spent my lifetime still connected to the information that was revealed at the time. So I think people need to be, especially today, I don't recommend people running out and doing plant medicine from the simple aspect of the preparation before it, the intention around it, the outro after it. What are you doing? And that's probably the most important, aside from who's administering this, where it's being done, the energies around. It is a really, really important aspect of this. And so when I've seen ayahuasca kind of hit mainstream, it kind of makes me a little nervous from that perspective. But then in terms of, like, I believe all medicines are also residing in what we're ingesting and where they're from. And you know, I spent so much of a career realizing, being humbled by the sacred plants that were always around to help us thrive, right? So if you even want to talk about the adaptogenic world, the fact that we can take a food or a plant or an herb like a chaga mushroom or a schizandra or a astragalus or ashwagandha or tulsi or a ginseng, whatever, that classification of true adaptogens, the fact that those plants can be under stress and adapt and create super compounds, and the fact that those compounds link to our bodies and help facilitate and modulate our own bodies is on its own miraculous, right? So I'm really, especially in the modern world, adaptogens are really, really important. I do still drink them every day. I formulated with them in Shakeology because it was clear in our modern world, holy cow, we are under so much stress. So that modulation, and cacao is also one of the greatest beans on the planet, and that cacao facilitation is also phenylethylamine and theobromine, and also the interactions that it has with the endocannabinoid system. It's pretty phenomenal. So, there is a lot here that is lost in processing foods, and the aggressive agriculture that's going on in the world. We're losing the essence that not only we can talk about these adaptogenic compounds that reside, but also there's other shared intelligence from these plants that I don't think we're even close to being aware of consciously. If you pick a strawberry on your land and you eat it, it is a completely different experience. And you feel it, you taste it, you celebrate it. And so that's part of, yes, you're getting nutrients, but you're also getting a whole other set of information from the land, from the photons, there's a lot going on in all of that stuff. So anyone listening, just do your best eating whole food. Do your best in cultivating as much food as you can. If you have a windowsill, hell, throw some basil in there, and appreciate that. If you have kids, grow some food together with your children, and they will start to cave on this idea of not sure where their food's from, into this understanding that, food is from the earth. True food is from the earth and not a chemistry set.
Oh, and I read I studied a little while ago, something like you need 36 apples or something of that nature today to get the same nutrition that one apple had a couple of 100 years ago, just simply because of the depletion of the soil. So like you think it's expensive buying organic from the farmer's market? No, it's not. No, it's not. If you're trying to intermittent fasting, like I said, 3 days no food, and I do often 10 days no food, just because I want to reset my system. And I'm not saying go 10 days on water only, but I'm saying if you do start to do some intermittent fasting, you're going to save money and you have super nutrition as well. Just a quick couple of words on fasting. What's your experience?
Yeah. I mean, I started really fasting consciously. I don't know. It was maybe 2000, 2001. And Paul Braggs was the first guy that I really was kind of the godfather of fasting. And he was saying it. Yeah, he was saying it in the 40s, 50s, 60s. And he was like, listen, this is the king. It's going back into the intelligence of the body. And like you're saying, so now it's great that there's this conversation about fasting that's okay, doing intermittent, but it also doesn't have to be difficult. 12-hour fasting is also extremely good, right? So it doesn't have to be extreme, and each person is different. So if their bodies are under stress in a certain way and they're not doing it under supervision, it could be harmful. But for the most part, the great work of Dr. Walter Longo proves time and again that whether you're completely even lowering calories for a period of time is extremely upregulating, not only for energy, but for longevity markers. So, yeah, I fast. I kind of go on a feeling now. I used to do, every Friday, I would just do 36 hours into Saturday. And now just being busy, hell, I was coming back from Finland and I'm like, I'm not eating any of that food. And I got 20 hours to travel. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to fast. And so I use the modern world as ways to, because I know my body, so I know I'm not going to pass out on the plane or whatever. So I think over time, we learn what the body can do and under normal circumstances. I mean, if I am doing a super long fast, then oftentimes I will judge it based on what my workload is. So we just need to be aware of that, but it doesn't have to be difficult. 12, 14, 16 hours can do wonders for people.
I love that. Thank you for the clarity on that. And I think this is very important. And most people, as I say, are overfed and undernourished. We don't need to eat as much, and we can get more nutrition if we tap into these superfoods. I want to talk about your 5-step formula. So this is in SuperLife. You break down the 5 life forces. 1 is nutrition, and we've already covered it. 2 is alkalization. Now, this is very important, keeping the body healthy and alkaline. 3 is oxygenation. Cancer cannot grow in a thoroughly oxygenized environment. If we learn how to breathe properly, I think we can heal anything and everything. So I want to have that conversation. Hydration we've covered, and detoxification. So maybe start there. Nutrition we've done, alkalization. If you want to add anything to that, and let's go to oxygenation after that, please.
Yeah. Alkalization is really a dominant part of your food from a fresh perspective. That's as easy as I can say it. So when there's fresh food, mostly vegetables and fruits, it keeps the body in an alkaline state. Now, when people say that, I'm not saying the blood, because the blood, the body does everything it can to keep that. If it changes too much, you're going to die, right? So
that's the whole point of alkalization, right? It has to keep the blood at 8.2 pH or something. So that's why it leaches minerals from elsewhere.
Exactly. So your body, if you are under an extreme load of acidification, and often people don't understand that proteins, animal proteins, dairy are extremely acidic. So, and it's hard for your body to break down. Now, I've been plant-based for 17 years. I'm not here to say, do what I do, because it's none of my business. But it's understanding the balance of a healthy diet, right? So for me, I wake up, I eat fresh, like I just ate a whole watermelon this morning, and like the electrolytes and the fresh food. So from that perspective, the buffering doesn't have to take calcium from the bones and buffer all of those things, because I'm keeping that electrolytes, mineralization, hydration balanced, and that alkalinization then is healthier for the body to keep in check.
Awesome. So I want to correct myself. I said 8.2, I meant about 7.4. The blood alkaline.
7.4 to 7.6. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So just a quick one. And I'm, again, I want you to just express yourself in whatever way. You mentioned that you've been plant-based, and there's other research too showing that certain people eat organic meat and it clears all diseases, joint pain goes away, blah, blah, blah. What are your thoughts, and what did you find in research, plants versus meats, and or the combination of them, just from a summary from your research, please?
Yeah. So for me, certainly I'll start with myself individually. I realized through being an aggressive athlete most of my life, I was consuming a lot of meat at a certain time, and the wheels started coming off. So then I started going, okay, well, there's amino acids upcycling, and all amino acids at the start come from plants, all of them. Whether it's if an animal is eating another animal that was an herbivore, so on the one hand, amino acids and all essential amino acids, and this is what most people don't know, all essential amino acids are representative in all plants and in all fruits. It's just ratios that are different. The great work done by Stanford PhD, Dr. Christopher Gardner, proved upside down and sideways, as long as you're getting enough calories throughout the day, the week, and the month, you don't have to look at your plate going, I need to get all the perfect amino acids at this meal. If you normally eat a distribution of healthy food, you will hit all of your amino acid markers. And I've proven that for myself for 17 years. And it also is showing up in the research. So I came to this understanding that the bioaccumulator that we're calling meat is not necessary for all people, right? So you can go to the plant and get those amino acids. So, and then for me, it lined up ethically, morally. Oh, wow, I can thrive. I can absolutely thrive and not have to be in the middle of killing or eating flesh of another being. So that to me, and again, the twin study that they did with identical twins also showed that calories were same, healthy foods were controlled, and the plant-based people, their markers, their LDL went down, their ApoB markers went down, and these are markers for heart disease, cardiovascular disease, as well as lean body mass was the same. So a lot of this stuff has been dispelled through great clinical trialed work. So for me personally, I didn't even really, other than my old physiology classes in college, I really didn't start with needing to be proved that if I do this, can I do this without meat? I proved it through doing it, and then through a lifetime of 20 years of finding great, so nutrient-dense food. So I just went nutrient-dense and clean food is the king of, and then I don't need the thing that, I guess I'm going off on different tangents, but the thing that I also realized that meat, yes, people are different, but meat is very stimulatory for the body. It takes a lot of energy because what you're really doing is the body still has to break down the food in its essential parts. So you take meat in, it's got to break it down to the individual amino acids and then upregulate. And then the RNA is going to say, okay, we need that to repair the joint, or we need that to repair the, so I was like, oh, if I can get all the amino acids from plants, then I'm just going to get them from there. And it also shows that it's easier to break down into the amino acids. So for all of those reasons and a lot more studies and a lifetime of work, I just didn't feel a need to eat animal flesh, and it was just a bioaccumulator of something I was getting from other sources anyway.
It's beautiful, brother. There's a lot of beauty in there, and a lot of research and a lot of testing. And, listeners, viewers, tune in to this for yourself. Nonetheless, it could be a great idea to increase the amount of organic vegetables and fruits and give it a try and see how you feel. Okay.
And that's the bottom line. I think that the research always shows that if you're still eating meat, eat less of it and just increase more fiber, more antioxidants, more rainbows, and the mortality markers improve, the overall longevity improves. So even if you're going, hey, I'm not going to go vegan, but it does show through the research, the more and more that you increase a rich array of plants and vegetables, nuts, seeds, and legumes, the better you are overall.
Oxygenation.
Yes.
I mentioned breathwork before, and you went, 20 years every day doing it. And so I'll give you a quick context. So I opened my first clinic 2010. I did 10 clinics, medical doctors, dentists, naturopaths, nurses, chiropractors, yoga teachers, Pilates, the whole lot, multidiscipline. And we did blood tests of our patients through the MDs. We looked at the teeth through the dentist to make sure we took out the mercury, amalgam. I know you're really big on these type of poisons. Then we went to the chiropractor to check the spine, make sure that we remove interference from the nervous system. We went to the naturopath to look at the gut biome and clear that up. We got really, really great results. We practice yoga and things like that regularly. And of course, nutrition and mindset and all that sort of stuff was a part of it. And we did a lot of case studies over many years. And we started running breath work. I started running breathwork classes, teaching people how to regulate their breath, how to be a nose breather, to stimulate the parasympathetic throughout the week, but to have 1 or 2 transformational breathing experiences, deep, full-on, super oxygenation type experiences per week. And we combined 3 things. And I'd love just to share this with you, and I'd love your opinion on breath. What we saw was absolutely mind-boggling. If we went into intermittent fasting, we cleaned up the nutrition like you've talked about, and we added basic time in rest, which means normally meditation, with breath work, okay? And we had also some work and training and assistance for our patients in emotional regulation and clearing the emotions from the subconscious part of the body, of course. But when we did that, and the biggest one was breath work, we literally they could stop, and I'm not recommending this, but a lot of them could stop seeing the chiropractor. They didn't need the naturopath. They didn't need the medical doctor, because they were able to turn on this incredible innate intelligence in the body that heals the body. As I say, the power that makes the body heals the body. And we found that the biggest factor of them all was the breath. You talk about oxygenation. Please, what's your experience with breath, and what do you want to share?
Wow. Well, that's incredible that you've done that work. It's always great when you can, quote unquote, prove what you feel, right? And the fact that you're doing that. So yeah, oxygenation way back 25 years ago, as a great researcher, Dr. Mohsen Hermanish, started really deeply sharing with me these concepts, and Otto Warburg, Dr. Otto Warburg, and the oxygenation theory, and the environment theory. So, the Western model of disease is, germ theory, and this is a tangent, but I won't go down it too far. But germ theory is this place where you catch something and then you get it. But what we're really talking about is changing the terrain, changing the environment for things to thrive or not thrive. And so oxygenation, even though we're talking about breathing, we're hyper oxygenating the body. And with that, there's so many other things going on, like you alluded to with the sympathetic nervous system, because we're under so much stress, not only just physiologically, psychologically, but also these fatal conveniences. And I would say it too, one of the strongest things that you can do is disrupt all of those stress responses and start to breathe. And with that saturation, you're changing your terrain. You're increasing oxygen in acidifying areas of the body. And over time, with the diet, with the positive mental outlook, it's just a no-brainer that would, there's no way you could put all the benefits in one pill. And if you could, everyone on the planet would take that pill. But all it takes is doing some intentional breath work every day. And it's as easy as not getting too complicated. In the nose, out the mouth, 3 to 40 breaths, do 3 or 4 rounds, do some breath holds, down regulate. One of the great things, I do it in the morning without a doubt, before my meditation, and then into journaling. But the other time, because I usually do it about twice a day, the other time I do it is I have a little game with myself after an intense workout. How quickly can I downregulate and go into repair mode? And so I'll do breath sessions, and oftentimes with my guys that I work out with, and it is unbelievable how quickly the body goes into healing from doing one round where you can't even hold your breath because you're wiped out and tired, to at the end, you're like, holy cow, you can already within a few minutes feel how much oxygen you've just brought into your body because you were so tired or lactic acid dominant or whatever it is. So if you just want to see how quickly and how powerfully oxygen can be in your life, go do a hard workout, lay down and start going into a breath rhythm of like we just described, and you'll see how powerful oxygen saturation is in your life.
Whew, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Isn't it crazy? And most of the detoxification doesn't happen through, urine or feces. It actually happens through your breathing. And most people aren't breathing. I'd say you're not sick, you're not stressed, you're just not breathing properly. Most people are stuck in sympathetic dominance. So if you can learn to be a nose breather and then do, proper alkaline breathing in experiences as transformational breathwork experiences, wow. Okay, let's go multidimensional. Okay. We've talked about, we've covered all the basics or a lot of the basics, nutrition and movement and all of these very, very important principles. But tell us about spirit. I mean, what's your experience of consciousness? Who are we really as multidimensional beings having a temporary human experience? Can you just take us as far or wide as you want to go on this topic?
Yeah, well, this is a forever mystery that I love to lean into every day. It's a daily practice of who am I, what am I, and just to tie it, that breathing that we're talking about is yes, we're talking physiologic, but this is the gateway. This is the microdose of that DMT. This is that microdose of what ayahuasca or psilocybin or whatever we are believing that is taking us to, but you can absolutely fulfill and access it through the breath.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make that point because as we're talking about this stuff and it becomes ungrounded in a certain way, it is so grounded in the way that you can control it healthfully and powerfully yourself through some breath rhythm, and do it with a group, do it with someone like yourself who's got education in it. And my God, you can I've had some of the greatest psychedelic spiritual experiences just by breathing.
Yeah.
So, listen, I do believe that we have a soul that is so powerful that the spirit of this mystery, God, whatever you want to call it, is communicating with. And for me, it is a very, very personal journey. And what I mean by that is, maybe many of you have studied a foreign language. Now, I think because we have an ego, we have this default mode network that keeps us safe and keeps us with an identity here in the third world, 3D world, that the intimate personal experience is learning a language from spirit to your soul, to you, to start to cultivate who I really am. And that is a learned experience only between you and God. And what I'm saying that for a particular reason. If you have anything, in my personal point of view, if you have anything in between you and spirit, that could be potentially cutting you off of the true source. Number one, it can be dangerous. And we see this all the time with saints and gurus and people that ultimately kind of can be cultish and create a lot of issues. So I really believe that the practice, however you need to get there, if it's breath work, if it's meditation, if it's journaling, I use all of those to access my listening. And it's a listening. It is a listening that gets stronger with time, because you start trusting it. You start trusting the downloads. You start trusting the sense of when someone comes into a room, when the wind blows and a hawk flies over me, and what I'm thinking at the time. The communication network of this 3D world also starts to wobble in a good way, in a sense of potentially giving you access as you're moving through the days and the weeks in life into this mystery of where are we going? What are we doing? And so, to the best of my ability, I try to listen every day. I practice it. And then so how it gets pragmatic then is then I discern through that listening and intend into my day, into my life, into my projects, and going, why am I doing this? And if it is not connected to that deep sense of soul and spirit and God as to why I'm doing it, then I'm not interested in doing that thing. So for me, I'm listening intently, and if that energy lines up with the next things that I'm doing, then I know I'm on the right path. So I've never gone after something just for money or just for fame or just for accomplishment. I just don't work that way. And the more I listen, the less I'm interested in that. The more I'm interested in communicating something that is a personal thing. And it goes down to like full circle. We're talking about super life. I want people to live a super life. I want sovereignty. I want the expression of this life to be better than what we're being told. So I don't know all the answers of the great mystery. I kind of love, my ego hates that answer, but I surrender more and more every day to go, I don't know everything. I feel something with the things that I'm doing or the people I'm working with. And then you have this interaction between this world and people. And then it's kind of like, wow, you trust someone and then they mess up and then they lie to you. It's a wild journey, because there's also trauma and pain. And that relationship is so important, to have a healthy relationship to trauma and pain, because I believe this world that we chose to be on, pain and trauma is the propeller of the experience. Yeah. It is the propeller of delusion. It is the revealer of lies. So we don't get out of jail free. We trust people and they betray us. We want to do something and we don't get it. On the other side of that, there is an intelligence that is trying to reveal something about the truth. And I'll use one example. You know, I'm sitting on the land that was burned to the ground, which had everything I owned. Right? So 2018, end of filming of Down to Earth. We weren't even done filming, and I found out that I lost everything I owned except the suitcase I had with me.
Wow.
So that is impossible to grieve. You're always grieving, and that's not a bad thing. that is a process of a letting go.
Yeah.
In the process of that letting go is a reveal of another truth. So I can tell you honestly today that even though it was one of the hardest things in my life, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but what it revealed to me, and the motion and the movement of that information is fueling me today in projects that I'm bringing to the world. So how could I possibly say that that was wrong? I can't. It was right in whatever mystery needed to happen. So there's a wild relationship that we have in this world. We don't get to know it all. We do our very best, but the listening helps to reveal some of the power when things don't go right. And I believe in this statement, all things, no matter what, is all for us, never against us, ever, ever. Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, doesn't mean it doesn't suck, doesn't mean that the world and the things that we see is horrible and challenging. What are we doing with that information? If you're taking that information and saying, you're an asshole, this shouldn't have happened, you missed the entire mark. It is beyond your understanding why those things happened. It's beyond. What you do with that information and the healing behind it and the forgiveness that's within it is the freaking power. And it is also with the letting go of what you thought should have happened. And that is power medicine right there.
If someone has a mic, would you drop it now, please? Fuck. Oh, man, my entire body is truth bumping. My whole body is spirit bumping. Thank you for that transmission, bro. That was gorgeous. If you felt that, guys, go back and listen to that again. Pause, journal, take notes, feel, breathe, meditate, look at the parts of your life that you thought was happening to you and know and understand how it happened for you. Imagine this. As Darin's just saying, he's lost everything burnt to the ground, everything disappears, and he still has this gratitude, this transmission of how life is happening through us. That was glorious.
Even saying that, even feeling that wouldn't have happened if that didn't happen. So it's like you cannot make things wrong. It's just how you experience them and allowing the movement to happen. And if you don't allow the movement of these events that are beyond your control and let them go and let them move through you, then you're stuck. And stuck is going to further manifest and get solidified and end up being roadblocks in your body, in your life, and it doesn't have a point of view. Meaning, if you believe you want to be right more than you want to heal, you get to be right. But being right is going to manifest in that choice. So your desire to be right and to judge will manifest in your demise one way or another on a cellular, biologic, and spiritual level. It does no good. And it is not without being a warrior and turning into pain, turning into where right now people are listening. Where, scan your body right now. Where do you have pain? Where do you feel stuck? Is someone popping in your head? Your dad did this, your mom did that, your friend did that. Is there something that's still sticking you? Turn into it. Go into a breathing session. Don't push it away. Pushing it away creates a bigger monster. Turn into it. Let it move through. Feel what, and it might take more than just a session. It might take some courage. It might take surrounding yourself with some people, some professionals that can be there for you when things percolate up as they want to come out. This is a warrior's path. This is a part of life that no one wants to talk about. This is a part of the spiritual bypass community that wants to just go, it's butterflies and rainbows. No, it isn't. It is not. That is a lie. That is not true. You can't intend your way through some of this stuff. But it also doesn't mean you need to collapse into it and identify with the trauma so much that you're now identified. I am this abortion that I had. I am this traumatic abuse that I took from my father. My father was an alcoholic. I took a shit ton of abuse from him, right? That's not who I am. But if I don't free myself and him from that bond, from that slippery slope of wanting to be a victim because it's seductive. Oh my God, it is so slippery for us as humans to slip into that. I am this. And now my identity is around, I was abused, I was this. It's a slippery slope. But the moment you decide in any way that is you, you've owned it. And are you sure you want to own that as who you are? Because who you are is a spiritual being, certainly having a gnarly spiritual existence in the body, a physical existence. So going back to who you are beyond this physical trauma, but our practice is to turn into it so it doesn't become our identity and doesn't pull us down into those depths and limit us from that full expression of what this life could be.
Beautiful, beautiful. I know many viewers watching and listening right now are interested in learning more. So we're just going to mention a couple of places where they can go, and maybe we'll need to get you back at some point in the future for a sequel, Darin.
There's a lot here, and I appreciate you because it's always curious when you have someone holding a certain space that it allows me to open into a certain space. And I want to just say that to you. Your receptivity, who you are, has allowed a movement from me, from somewhere, to deliver whatever that is. So that is a shared community, right? We get to orate and give message to energy. And hopefully people are receiving something, no matter what it is. And then they can take something and hell, go do a breathing session and sit with whatever is moving. That's the beauty. And I just want to, again, shout out to you. And this is our first time meeting, but I immediately felt that right away.
Me too. I'm excited and honored to be a transmission to allow your fire to come through, because that last piece there, brother, whoo, all of it gold. But that was glorious. So, watchers, listeners, viewers, brothers, sisters, family around the world, the podcast is called SuperLife with Darin Olien. Okay, and you'll find that on all the major platforms. There's multiple episodes there that I've already mentioned, a couple of hidden poisons of anti-aging products. But go and check it out. If this has been useful, just instead of listening to the radio, pump that podcast in the background when you're driving, share it with your friends, family, loved ones. This episode, if this has been useful, listen to it again. Stop it when you feel the connection. Take the notes, write it down, share it with as many people as you can. You have, of course, also, we talked about the fatal conveniences. Look into that as well. And of course, if you haven't already seen it, I think, Down to Earth, which you'll find on Netflix, which is the documentary that Darin did with Zac Efron. It looks like he's just a beautiful guy who's authentic, connected to his heart, and, connected to nature as well. So that you guys got to collaborate on Down to Earth. Ladies and gentlemen, go check that out on Netflix. I really enjoyed, and I have only seen parts of it, but I really enjoyed how you guys are really bringing us back to nature during that work. Where else can people go to hear more about your work, Darin?
Yeah, so I got superlife.com, and I also just recently launched a community.
Oh, Patreon. Yeah. Tell us about Patreon.
Yeah, so Patreon is a foundational place where I can kind of unleash from a community standpoint. We also have an ingredient tracker, which is so cool. You can take a picture of any ingredient. So you heard about fatal conveniences. You're like, how the fuck am I supposed to, how am I supposed to know about this stuff? I have a little app. You take a picture of an ingredient list and it will rate that. It will say it's good or it's bad. And it will tell you the individual stuff. So that's in it. We have community groups in there. We've got master classes that I'm building for people to dive deep into purpose. We're diving into the endocannabinoid system. We're diving into trauma. So the community is a curation of a lifetime of work that I personally go to. And I'll just say this, social media and media in general has gotten so ugly that I realized that I was pulling back from just sharing personal stuff on there because it's just gross. So I said, I need to launch a community that people have been asking forever for literally a price of a latte per month. So there's no barrier to entry, so that I could have a community that is receptive to me and the researchers and the people I have around me, so that we can share and build together. So I'm stoked that I finally launched that. You can check that out. But yeah, man, it's these conversations, it's this kind of thing that I want to move forward and shine light where there's way too much darkness that's being projected in the world. And it's too much for our amygdalas. It's too much for our dominance of the negative response that our brain is wired to. So I want to steer it towards a solution-based community, uplifting, happiness, joy, diving into ways that people can live an extraordinary life.
Patreon. If you guys haven't heard of Patreon, look it up. It's a really powerful platform that allows communities like Darin's and many others to really speak their truth without, being silenced, without being, having to conform to the narrative and so on and so forth. So check it out. And is it SuperLife on Patreon?
SuperLife on Patreon.
Cool. Go check it out. Okay, I've got one last question for you straight off the cuff, brother. Are you ready? Okay, here's the question. I want you now to imagine that you are on the world stage. Every sentient being alive has gathered, watching, tuning into your message. Take a breath. When you're ready, please do share. What's your message to the world right now?
My message to the world right now is silence, quiet contemplation, the guidance from inside is the greatest communicator, conductor of your life fulfiller of happiness, joy that you could possibly imagine. And I don't mean it esoterically. I mean directly. Informing yourself, listening to yourself, cultivating that presence, that listening between you and the Creator. And from there, all things are possible.
Just keep a little moment of silence to let that drop in. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to share this interview as far and as wide as I can. And if you're watching and listening, you never know how far sharing this interview with someone can change their life. You know, if one mother or father changes the way they eat, the way they breathe, the way they live, that'll change the entire family, including the children. So please share this as far and wide as you can. And again, Darin, I want to say thank you, brother. I see you. I appreciate you. And speaking for myself, and I know for many of our community, we are so grateful that you came on the show today, bro.
Thank you, brother. It's been a beautiful journey to share this space with you.
Thank you so much. This is Darin Olien, everybody.